Our Rhine getaway itinerary presents all the highlights of the legendary Rhine in just 8 days. Your journey begins in timeless Amsterdam. Soak in rich colours amid the stained glass of Cologne's Gothic Cathedral. Explore the mighty Ehrenbreitstein fortress that overlooks Koblenz and enjoy an evening stroll along the cobblestones of Rüdesheim. With dawn comes Speyer, a quaint German town on the Rhine's west bank, where you can marvel at the architectural splendour of the city's Romanesque cathedral. Strasbourg, France follows with its timeless old town, while Germany's Black Forest region is rich in history and culture. Your voyage concludes in the pretty city of Basel, Switzerland.
We're Betsy and Greg Ball,
Hello.
and we are going to talk about the Rhine getaway. Let's get started. So we got to go on this wonderful itinerary in 2019. It was March, it was spring, and we started in...
Cool.
It was a little bit cool. You'll see that in the pictures. We're wearing coats, but it didn't matter a bit. We started in Amsterdam and went down the beautiful, beautiful Rhine River with all of its castles and vineyards along the river. And we just want to share a little bit about our experience. So I love this picture. Greg took this picture from an iPhone. All of these are just from an iPhone. And I just think this is such a glorious picture. And it just shows how beautiful this city is, and we absolutely loved spending a couple days here before we got on our ship, just walking the canals and
all the bicycles in town.
There's so many bikes. I can't even believe how many bikes there are. We ate our way through the city as well and got to do some things that I had always wanted to do. I had been to Amsterdam before this,
Yep.
But it was on a long layover on a trip to someplace else. I was there for like 8 hours, and I took the train in, and I really wanted to see the Anne Frank Museum, but I had not planned. This was a long time ago. I'm a much better planner now. And of course, the tickets were sold out. So this time, since we knew we were going to be in Amsterdam, I planned ahead. And the tickets go on sale, I think, the first Tuesday of the month before the next month's tickets open up. But I was on it and got tickets to see the Anne Frank Museum. And it was such... On the left, yes. And it was such a meaningful visit because, I mean, I read the Diary of Anne Frank. Sure. I read it to my children. Our kids know about it. And it was just very important, I think, to be there. So I was really glad that we were able to be in Amsterdam a few days before so we could do that and see some of the
Reich Museum.
The Reich Museum, the glorious art with Rembrandts and Van Gogh. It's a world-class museum. And then we also went to the Van Gogh Museum, which is also extraordinary. There's just so much. And there's so much food. This is one of my favorite items that we ate while we were there. It's called a stroopwafel, and I mean, lots of people may know about stroopwafels. I didn't until our daughter moved to Copenhagen, and she introduced us. But I had never had one that was hot. This was just fresh off the griddle, and the caramel was all melty, and I was very happy. It was awesome. Down the river. This was sort of our first glimpse of the Cologne Cathedral. And I mean, it is absolutely magnificent. The history of it is incredible. I mean, they started building it in the 1200s. When we docked and got off the ship, then we were able to take a walking tour of Cologne and learn a little bit about the history of the city and of the cathedral. But it's just so impressive. I think we went inside 3 times that day. Yeah. And one time one time there was a choir singing. I think they were rehearsing, but it's just magnificent to be inside and to see the stained glass and think about people building this hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's just incredible.
Here we are in
our coats, having a grand time. It's so funny to look back at these pictures because I didn't remember that it was cold. I just remembered having a good time.
Yeah.
And these locks, these love locks, I mean, I've seen them in other places, but never like this.
Bridge, the whole way across the river, that thick, the whole way across.
It's incredible.
Crazy.
So
Crazy.
People lock their love and throw away the key in the Rhine. And sometimes these you can even see it in the picture a little bit, their names or the date on it. And it's just fun to think of all the love there on that bridge. Now we're going to get to see a video of some of the behind the scenes at the Cologne Cathedral.
In the 12th century, Cologne was a quiet city. That is until the day their Archbishop Reinald von Dassel brought home an incredible treasure from Italy. The bones of the biblical three wise men. This remarkable relic required an extraordinary home of worship. So they built on the city's most spiritual site.
The place where Cologne Cathedral stands is a very, very old place to held services. In the year 313, Bishop Maternus do the services with the Christians. So over 1800 years, this place is used for the church.
With location in hand, the foundation stone for the Cologne Cathedral was laid. Construction progressed at an incredible pace, a rate that legend has it was due to a bet the architect made with the devil. Desperate for fame, he offered the souls of himself and his family for the cathedral's inspired drawings, but only if the devil could build it in record time. Luckily, the story goes, his wife discovered the bet and with cleverness halted the project short of completion, thwarting the devil. But the haunting silhouette of the unfinished cathedral tainted the skyline for nearly 4 centuries. It's been said the French invasion of 1794 and their use of the cathedral as a stable was key to reigniting interest in the project. Finally, in 1880, the tallest twin-spired church in the world was complete. Outside, this exquisite cathedral embodies the artistic spirit of Gothic architecture. But it's inside that the level of detail becomes nearly overwhelming.
The ceiling is so high. Cologne Cathedral has the 3rd highest walls in the world. You have to imagine that the craftsmen work here 700 years ago with so less technical supporting systems. The working process is very painful and very impressive.
The cavernous nave with its 142-foot high ceiling easily accommodates nearly 90,000 square feet of stained glass, while providing an eternal setting in which to worship the golden reliquary of the three wise men. Exploring behind the scenes, I discovered a side of this architectural masterpiece most people miss. In the blink of an eye, you're in the midst of a hand-carved forest of spires. It's an unusual perspective, a bird's-eye view of artistic elements, where you can examine structural features like the flying buttresses supporting the enormous walls, and ponder the reason behind the cathedral's menacing characters.
There are spitting gargoyles at the edges of the cathedral. We know that those gargoyles frightened the visitors in the medieval times. Inside of the cathedral, they see all the angel figures, the gold and the paradise symbols. So the visitors, they are happy, praying and doing the services.
Stepping inside the iconic roof, I was surprised to find it's supported by what was, at the time, cutting-edge technology.
Cologne Cathedral has no wood construction under the plates of the outside. There is metal construction from the year 1855 to 1860, and is one of the biggest metal construction you can see in Europe in the 19th century.
Hidden within this jungle of iron, I came across yet another treasure. An eerie pathway barely wide enough for a single person. It encircles the heart of the cathedral at a considerable height, passing at times within inches of the beautiful stained glass, eventually leading to a vantage point very few have enjoyed, one that instantly took my breath away.
The craftsmen are still working on the cathedral. We reconstruct and restore the cathedral. 100 craftsmen work here every day, 365 days a year, and it will never stop.
Thanks to an abundance of loving care, the Cologne Cathedral has so far escaped the ravages of time and remains an architectural masterpiece certainly worth exploring. I hope you too will do what I did and immerse yourself in this Rhine treasure, listening for the stories these stones can tell.
So from that, you could really see some of the magnificent stained glass and see some of the gargoyles and really imagine yourself there with the people building the cathedral. I just thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
But then we carried on down the Rhine, and this is so spectacular because you are going down the river and there are so many castles. You just can barely keep up with all of them. And
if you're up on the observation deck, I mean, you were always, there's almost always a castle in view.
Always.
On either side, up close, up on the hill. Amazing.
Look at that. I mean, it's incredible. And I love the colorful little buildings. And when you're on the river, I mean, you're right there. You're so close to everything.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. And we love wine and vineyards and everything to do with it. And these vineyards are just extraordinary. They're so steep, and you can see the terraces, the rock terraces that they have built over the years to keep the vineyards in place. I mean, so I think this is a funny picture because obviously it was sort of a gray day, and I don't remember that at all from our trip because I was just mesmerized by absolutely everything. And I mean, we just loved sitting and having tea in the lounge and watching the river go by and seeing more castles and more vineyards. And
again, how close you are. This is from the ship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is down looking into the
Mobile.
I was thinking about the Aquavit Lounge actually. But you're right.
Yeah.
This is Koblenz, where the Rhine and the Mosel come together, right?
Exactly.
So
another great wine river.
Another great wine river, exactly. And there, I think I loved how on this particular sailing, well, I mean, on this itinerary, they bring a lot of Rieslings on board so that you can really taste
local wines,
the local wines.
Food.
Yep, and food. Absolutely, absolutely. So, speaking of bringing things on board,
yes.
This is Carl, and he's a master glass blower, and he is the most charming man you can imagine. And they bring him on the ship to make glass right in front of you, and he is an artist. And watching him work, look at that cute little smile. He is just so darn cute and sweet, and he makes these magnificent.
Look at these pieces. Jeez, amazing.
They're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And he let me make one too. And so I blew this with Carl's help, and now I have this wonderful Christmas ornament that I can bring home and put on my tree and remember our trip every single year. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
On board.
Some exercise. When you're not looking for castles, you can play a little golf and pick some herbs. And
we walked many laps around. I love walking around the ship because the scenery changes as you go.
Yeah.
But this is also a great view of the kitchen garden. Look at the rosemary there, and I think they use the herbs that they've planted there,
really cool,
so that everything is really very, very fresh. I love this picture of our captain. Look how proud he is. He's so cute, and he was great too. He was really
nice guy. Always
super. And we're going to get to see another video, this time of the Middle Rhine, the Romantic Rhine.
In Germany, the River Rhine cuts through steep hillsides and craggy cliffs to reveal quaint villages of half-timbered houses around every bend. This 80-mile stretch between Bingen and Bonn makes up the Middle Rhine, but the area is more affectionately known as the Romantic Rhine. In the late 18th and early 19th centuries, this idyllic setting inspired Rhine Romanticism, an artistic movement during which artists decried industrialization and turned instead to nature and the past for inspiration. Writers, painters, and composers, Lord Byron, William Turner, and Richard Wagner among them, journeyed along this sublime waterway, coming away forever changed by the experience. This historic river inspired such works as Wagner's The Ring Cycle, Heine's poem The Lorelei, and some of Turner's finest landscapes, the result of several voyages along the Rhine. In 2002, a portion of the Middle Rhine was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, in part because of its more than 40 medieval castles, such as Rheinstein Castle, once home to Holy Roman Emperor Rudolf von Habsburg, 12th century Starleck Castle, built by the Archbishops of Cologne, and Marksburg, the only Rhine castle never conquered. Even more intriguing is Pfalzgrafenstein, a toll station built on an island in the middle of the river. Chains once stretched from this island across the entire Rhine. In order to pass, one had to pay a toll, a major source of medieval revenue for the castle landowners. This majestic waterway, long the domain of knights and princes, painters and poets, offers a fascinating window into the past, as well as some of the world's most spectacular vistas. The next time you're in Europe, I hope you'll take the opportunity to explore the romantic Middle Rhine for yourself.
So now we're in Strasbourg. And I love Strasbourg.
All the cities down here are so beautiful, so many colors, and I mean, that's a postcard right there.
It is a postcard. Strasbourg is incredible, and you just see things that you don't get to see at home. Look at this is, I think it's called a cargo bike, and I mean, you put your children in there and ride around town. I just absolutely love it, and all these little cobblestone streets and alleyways and little places to have another glass of Riesling wine. This is the Strasbourg Cathedral. Strasbourg is amazing. It's the home of the European Parliament, so it's a very important city. And this part of the Rhine is so fascinating because Strasbourg is France, but you're right beside Germany. And this whole area, this whole region has switched back between France and Germany many, many times over the past several hundred years. Brings us to Colmar. In Alsace. And, it looks like it just came right out of Les Miserables or Beauty and the Beast. I mean, all these half-timbered, colorful homes are just so beautiful. I just love it. And look, the weather was nice this day. The trees are blooming. There's more canals here. Yeah. It's just absolutely stunning. Every corner is stunning.
That house.
I know. I love it. Can you just imagine I don't know, Rapunzel letting down her long hair, or somebody standing up in the balcony. The cathedral, again, I look at the roof. I love the tiles on the roof that are so colorful and beautiful, and the artistry that went into creating these are amazing.
We got to meet our daughter there.
She was living in Copenhagen at the time and got to meet us in Colmar, which was really great. We got to meet up with her and
had a nice lunch out on the patio.
In the sun, drinking Riesling. It was really fabulous. And so I think we had some Flammkuchen, which is a very traditional dish there. It's sort of like a super, super thin crust. It's sort of like pizza. It's the Alsatian pizza, but they probably wouldn't want you to say that. Super, super thin crust and a white cheese or creme fraiche, and then lardons or some kind of delicious meat on top. That's just another scene from in Basel. And then I think the last slide is this fabulous bakery that is in Basel. And I walked in and asked for the most traditional thing that they had, and this is what they gave me. And I looked in my notes. I couldn't find the name of it, but look, you can just see the sugar glaze on the outside and the almonds, and I like to eat my way through our travels. Thank you so much for joining us. We had such a good time reliving our trip. I hope that you're thinking about taking a Viking journey down the Rhine, because it is amazing and you will have a marvelous time.
It is. Goodbye.
Our Rhine getaway itinerary presents all the highlights of the legendary Rhine in just 8 days. Your journey begins in timeless Amsterdam. Soak in rich colours amid the stained glass of Cologne's Gothic Cathedral. Explore the mighty Ehrenbreitstein fortress that overlooks Koblenz, and enjoy an evening stroll along the cobblestones of Rüdesheim. With dawn comes Speyer, a quaint German town on the Rhine's west bank, where you can marvel at the architectural splendour of the city's Romanesque cathedral. Strasbourg, France follows with its timeless old town, while Germany's Black Forest region is rich in history and culture. Your voyage concludes in the pretty city of Basel, Switzerland.